Hey everybody, welcome back finally to Fins Up Ramley after a long hiatus because of multiple different things. We are back with playoff predictions, Ashton, but before we do that, we cannot in good conscience on the Fins Up Ramley channel. You know how we are, the Fins family and the Ram fan over here. We gotta talk about it. Ashton, as you know, Brian Flores, head coach, our previous head coach of my Dolphins, got fired yesterday. Before I talk about my reaction, I'm just going to briefly state what has been on the record, why our owner Stephen Ross said what he said was the why he fired Brian Flores, and basically it boils down to Brian Flores and our current GM, Chris Greer, basically having a strained relationship because Brian Flores wanted to have more control of the team, which makes sense. He's coming from the Patriots, where Bill Belichick basically runs that organization. So after many crap, I'm gonna have to edit this. It's been a while, Ashley. It's been a while.
You were going good.
I was.
You're killing it.
I'm just gonna restart it. It'll make it easier on me. So I can just go, All right. Hey everybody, welcome back to Fins Up Ramley. After a long hiatus, we are back with our playoff predictions special. It's gonna be a wild playoff, Ashton, and everybody listening. But before we do that, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. One half of this channel, the Fin part of this channel. I'm a Dolphins fan, as many of you know. Very tragically, very upsetting to me yesterday, the time of this recording. So on Monday, January 10th, 2022, Brian Flores got fired as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins after opposing back-to-back winning seasons for the first time in many years for the Dolphins. So many people are speculating why this happened. There have been many reports. Stephen Ross, our owner, has come out to state basically that there were dysfunction within the organization, and he thought changes had to be made to basically get us back on the right track, or so he says. But more reports came out saying that this all boiled down to it being kind of a head-on-head battle between who would get control between Brian Flores and our current GM, Chris Greer. Ultimately, Chris Greer went out, but this all came down to Brian Flores wanting more power in decision-making in this team. He got pretty upset that many of the draft capital we've had 6 first-round picks since 2019. That's 3 drafts. 6 picks in the first round. That's a lot of draft capital. Flores has got pretty upset that he feels like it was not used in the betterment of this football team like it should have been. We can look back real quick at these draft picks that Chris Greer has basically chosen. 2019, Christian Wilkins was the first round pick. He's been pretty solid. I wouldn't say he's been great or a Pro Bowl, but he had his best season of his career this year, and he's looking like a promising young defensive lineman there. Jalen Phillips from this year's draft and Javon Holland both were great steals, I think, in the first round. Good picks. However, the biggest problem that created dysfunction, Ashton, was that terrible 2020 first round by Chris Greer, taking Tua, taking Igbahogany, and taking Austin Jackson. 2 of those being absolute looking like draft busts in the first round, and Tua, the way I kind of categorize him, is not a draft bust, but a draft miss, because while Tua is a lower tier starter in the NFL, with the options you had available, like Joe Burrow with the pick later and even Jalen Hurts later on in the draft, Tua was not the right pick there. So, understandably, Flores was a little peeved off at Greer about these picks. He thought he could either use them better players, maybe Herbert, who knows, or like the Rams do, trade away and get players to help build the team. So ultimately, Stephen Ross had the decision. It's going to be Flores or Greer, and he sides with his longtime friend Chris Greer, who's been with the team since 2000, but has only served as the GM since 2016. And since 2016, you've seen the success or lack of success there has been in the Miami Dolphins franchise. Ashton, my reaction was very upset. I woke up and saw the news on my Twitter feed and was very heartbroken, very shocked that this came down to it. And I really think it was the wrong move. I love Brian Flores. He got us back-to-back winning seasons. The defense was stellar. Now, I'm not going to say Flores is perfect. He's been terrible at hiring offensive coordinators, and our offense has been terrible. He's had bad relationships with Tua, which when you have bad relationships with a quarterback and a coach, you know this better than anyone, Ashton. Last year, Goff's experience was terrible. So he wasn't a perfect coach, but he was very much young. He's only 40, a rising star. And if you could just get a good coordinator in Miami, I think this team should have been a playoff team last year for sure, but definitely could have been this year as well. It's the wrong move for me, Ashton. They better go out, and we're going to do video later on after all the playoffs are finished, all the Super Bowl, all that jazz is done, with the potential coaches and who I think we should hire. If it's not already decided by the Super Bowl, we'll see. But I think it's definitely the wrong move. I'm upset, but at the end of the day, I'm a Dolphins fan, and it's just part of being in this agonizing fan base.
Yeah, Andy, it's really interesting to kind of see how these two franchises have kind of deviated from 2016 because if you look at it, they were kind of in similar situations. They've both been bottom of their divisions for like a decade longer, kind of laughing stocks. I know Dolphins had a little bit more success in the later 2000s, but overall, both teams just haven't been like winning cultures. They haven't been, constantly in the playoff hunt, constantly in the conversation for winning the Super Bowl. And they hire Greer, which was with the organization since like 2000. And Andy, I just don't think that was the move that panned out. And they're trying to scapegoat a coach that brought you guys your first two back-to-back winning seasons in however long. Like you said, he wasn't perfect. He's made some bad hires when it comes to his offensive coordinator. Really bad hires, but that shouldn't have costed him his job. It really shouldn't have. From the outside looking in, I really like Brian Flores. I just thought I was amazed. I couldn't believe it. Like he got fired before Joe Judge got fired.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I supposed to say to that? And I feel like the Dolphins, if you can't realize that the GM, who has had probably three awful first round drafts, isn't worth keeping around, I don't know. Like, I think the reason why I love our GM is because he clearly owned up to his mistakes. He didn't go out and say he made a mistake. You know what he did? He stopped drafting in the first round because he was bad at it. The only good pick he's had in the first round is Aaron Donald. Now, given that's you hit on him, you don't need to hit on much else for a few years in a row. After that, Andy, he just stopped drafting because he was very bad in the first round, and they know how to make their money in the third and fourth round, which the Rams have constantly done, and I feel like the Dolphins haven't been able to do that. They've been missing on their first rounders, and their mid-draft guys aren't just picking up the slack. And I feel like your GM should own a little bit more responsibility for that. And, I hope Flores finds a good landing spot. I said on Twitter I thought the Vikings would be a perfect fit for him. Great personnel to match his defensive scheme. And you have a good offense. So if you have a great draft for the Vikings, I believe they have a good amount of picks this upcoming draft. I felt like the Vikings would be a good shoe-in for him, and it would be stupid not to hire him.
Two things real quick before we move on to the topic of today's video. We just had to get this out of the way. First, I think it's a different discussion on who is the one fired, Ashton, if the 2021 draft picks weren't a success. We had two picks this year. Jalen Phillips looks like, he battled with injury the first half of the year. However, the last half, when the defense stepped up, huge part of it was Jalen Phillips off that edge, off that weak side beside Emmanuel Agba, getting pressure on the quarterback. That's going to be a really big key piece. And let's not forget to mention Javon Holland, who is the best rookie safety and already a top 10 safety in the league. If you watch him play, he's all over the field. He can play free safety. He can play strong safety. He is a very versatile player. He can rush the quarterback. He can defend. He's got really great percentage of completion against him, as well as pressures he can get and interceptions he can get. So for as much flack as I give Greer, this past draft was fantastic in the first round. I think if he misses on one of those picks or both those picks this year, Ashton, I think he's the one fired instead of Flores, because you can't justify, like, there's no evidence of saying, he can make picks, right? Because Christian Wilkins wasn't enough of a look, I have evidence, but now he actually has it. So I think it's a different story. And then last thing I'll say, Brian Flores would definitely get a head coaching job. There's already, I think there are reports that the Bears are interviewing him. I believe is which makes sense. Bears have always been defensive minded. You got probably the best defensive minded head coach right now. So I'm not worried about Brian Flores, and it's going to be one of those things. He's going to go to a team and be successful, and the Dolphins are going to have to sit back and watch Ryan Tannehill of coaches go out there and succeed outside of the Dolphins. But actually, let's move on to the topic at hand. The playoffs are starting this Saturday. Lots of fun games. Wild card week, and your Rams are in the wild card against a good matchup. Yeah, very upset that the Dolphins did not make it, but we got to win more games. We can't lose to the Jaguars and expect to make it. The Colts definitely understand that as well. So, all right, Ashton, let's move on to the topic at hand of this video. The NFL playoffs are here. It's going to be a great weekend of football games Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, with your Rams game being on Monday and your Rams in the playoffs, unlike my Dolphins. But that's what happens when you lose to the Jaguars and have 7 straight losses. It's almost impossible to come back from that. But without further ado, let's dive into these matchups as we predict who is going to win the 2022 Super Bowl and be crowned the kings of the NFL. So first matchup, Ashton, we have in Buffalo in a cold environment, real cold this weekend. The number 3 Bills playing the 6th-seeded New England Patriots. Who do you got?
Yeah, Andy, the Patriots, they have been a team that I feel like coming into the year, I didn't know how much to expect from them. I expected a good defense to great, but their offense was a big question mark. I didn't know how Mac Jones would come in. Now, I liked Mac Jones more than most people. I believe he was like my 3rd or 4th QB. But still, I didn't, I thought he was going to be the 2nd most consistent QB to Trevor Lawrence. He's probably been the most consistent this year. But I have to go Bills. I feel like the Bills, they have been very lackluster this year, for the most part, especially on offense. They live and die by Josh Allen. But I really think Allen's going to pull this one out against a very defensive-minded Patriots team. So I'm not going to put this game on upset alert.
Ashton, the weather in Buffalo this Saturday is a very warm high of 9 degrees Fahrenheit with a low of 1 degree. This is cold. It is real cold. It's not supposed to snow, but you never know. The biggest question is what I've seen, many people have said too, is that the New England Patriots are very accustomed to playing in the cold. Now, I know Buffalo's cold too, but when you think of New England, you think of cold as well. Now, definitely the weather is going to be a factor. You got to look at the quarterbacks, right? You got best rookie quarterback that we've seen this year, Mac Jones, in his first playoff game is the opportunity, the lights, the playoffs, too big of a moment for the rookie. But you have Josh Allen, who down the stretch this season has not been playing very good. He's been fine. They've been winning games, but he's not played very well, Ashton, which translates to Stephon Diggs having a very off season because the quarterback's not on. Stephon Diggs isn't on. So you're going to have this matchup really is going to be a running matchup. Damian Harris and the New England Patriots, Devin Singletary on the Bills. A lot of kickers, right? It's going to be Folk versus Bass. It's going to be a very low scoring defensive run the ball kind of game, kicking field goals. But all comes down to me is Bill Belichick, as I have the Patriots winning a close game in Buffalo, moving on. And you can say it's an upset alert, Ashton. I don't see it as an upset. I think the Patriots got a good matchup here. They know how to play the Buffalo Bills. They've already played them twice this year. I think they're going to do it. I trust good old Bill. Let's go Pats.
Mm. All right, Andy. Let's move on to a matchup. I don't think me or you would have been saying. Now, I was very high on the Bengals last year, and I, of course, picked the wrong year to be high on the Bengals. Um, but you have the Raiders at the Bengals. What exactly here are you looking for? Um, I'm gonna be frank. I just think the Bengals are a far better team on both sides of the ball. The Raiders have skirted by a lot of their wins, and I think this is going to probably be one of the most lopsided playoff games.
I got to give a lot of credit to Derek Carr. After the whole Henry Ruggs situation earlier in the year, he could have quit. Right? They started off hot, then they started losing games. Henry Ruggs get arrested for the terrible, terrible tragedy that was DUI leading to death of a young woman being arrested, all that stuff. But they didn't fold. A lot of times they could have, right? They fired Gruden this year too, but somehow, some way, they are in the playoffs. They beat the Chargers to do so. That's not an easy game to win. They at least could. They were gonna tie, but they won anyways. But I have to agree with you, Ashton. The Bengals offense is probably the best we right now is the best offense in the NFL. Joe Burrow is clicking on all cylinders. As much as I thought, I know probably you too thought, they needed to get an offensive lineman with their pick. They go get Shamar Chase, and Burrow is happy. You got to just make your quarterback happy, man. He's throwing to Chase, throwing dimes. Tyler Boyd is in there. T. Higgins is in there. Don't forget Joe Mixon in the running game is in there. Their offensive line isn't perfect, but I do not trust enough the Raiders, even though Max Crosby is great. I don't trust the defense enough to expose the Bengals offense like they should. And I think the Bengals defense, even though it's not great, they're not playing a high. I mean, Derek Carr's been playing good. They got Josh Jacobs. I just don't see this game being that close. I got the Bengals winning in a 10 to 13 point win, moving on the next round. Hopefully for them, they can play someone that's not the Chiefs, but we'll see in this next matchup. As Ash and the 2-seeded Chiefs play the bottom of the barrel. I don't know how they made it. 7-seeded Steelers in
Chiefs.
Arrowhead. Yeah, it's the Chiefs, Ash. We don't spend much time in that. It's
Chiefs.
Patty Mahomes. It's Travis Kelce. It's Tyreek Hill against Mr. Big Ben, who should be long gone. Credit for him. This team should not have made the playoffs, but he did in his final season. But it's not going to matter as the Chiefs move on. With that being said, Ashton, we have two great divisional rounds. The first round bye of the Titans in the 1 seed play the Patriots in Tennessee, and the Kansas City Chiefs, after their win, play a red-hot Bengals team. Let's start with the Titans matchup. Titans, Pats, in Tennessee. Ashton, who you got?
Ooh, you have Titans versus Pats. I gotta pick Pats for that matchup for you. I don't think they move on past the first round, but I feel like they match up against the Titans very well. They run, they pass when they need to, and that defense will give the Titans running game fits. And if the Titans running game can't get going, I just don't see how they win this match.
Yeah, I got the Patriots in my in that divisional matchup as well. I just don't trust Ryan Tannehill. Derrick Henry, he might be back fully. We don't know how fully healthy he is. That's a wild card, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Titans won because of Derrick Henry being fully healthy, but we don't know if that's going to happen. I don't trust Tannehill, and I think Belichick is going to win, make it there. Ashton, and then the other side of my divisional is the Chiefs and Bengals. What an offensive game this is going to be. It's going to be such a fun game to watch. However, I think the Bengals are a year away. Ashton, I think they're a year away. As much as Joe Burrow is going to give this game a fight, I think it's going to be a shootout. I'm going to go with the Chiefs winning in 38-35. High-scoring divisional round, making it to the AFC Championship game. Chiefs, Pats. Winner goes to the Super Bowl.
I think it is 47-40 Bengals.
Ooh, so you have Bengals, Pats. I have Chiefs, Pats. I choose out of that matchup, AFC Championship.
Wait. Sorry, I need to be able to show the graph. So I was going to break down your bracket so far. I'll do it after you finish. Start now.
So with that being said, Ashton, I got the Chiefs and the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. Good old Bill Belichick trying to say he's still supreme against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I got to go with the Chiefs there. I think the Patriots are a defensive menace, but we've seen before the greatest offenses can beat the greatest defenses. 2 years ago, Ashton, the 49ers Chiefs Super Bowl, Chiefs got the upper hand there. I think they're going to do it again, and they're going to go back to the Super Bowl for a third straight time to play the NFC opponent, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Okay, Andy, since you just finished yours, let's go ahead and kind of summarize your AFC bracket. Uh, you have the Bengals, Pats, and Chiefs winning on Super Wildcard weekend, and then you have Chiefs being the Bengals and the Patriots being the number one seed, Titans, and a big upset. They'll only go on and lose in the championship against the Chiefs. Um, solid choices. I definitely get where you're going. Um, so Andy, I'll go ahead and break mine down. Like I said in my wild card, I believe the Bengals will win against the Raiders, the Bills will win against the Pats, and the Chiefs will beat the Steelers. So none of the lower seeds winning. I don't have any upsets on wild card weekend. I will pick the Bengals upsetting the Titans, and I will pick. Ooh, I'll pick the Chiefs to beat the Bills. That's gonna be a hard one, but I feel like the Bills have just been off this entire season, Andy, and I feel like it bites them in the divisional. And then going into the championship, I think the Bengals win and beat the Chiefs.
Wow.
Yeah, I just don't. I feel like that it's really hard to go to the Super Bowl 3 years in a row. It's incredibly hard, and I feel like the Bengals have that perfect mixture of really explosive offense, and their defense is underrated. They have a really good defense, Andy, and it's what kept them in the game. A few of their games early on in their season when their offense wasn't doing so hot. Uh, I like their defense. Is it a top five defense? No, but is it good enough to win you some playoff games? Keep Mahomes on his feet, and
No.
while Burrow is throwing dots to Jamar
Mm-mm.
Chase, I do. Um,
Mm-mm.
so I have the Bengals going to the Super Bowl. I'm typically really bad with these predictions, so
And Bengals fans are actually pretty upset at you for picking that.
yeah, just wait until I pick the Super Bowl, Andy. And as you
That's a
know,
spoiler there.
as
No,
you
actually,
know,
no. I definitely see where you're coming from. The Bengals are getting hot at the right time, and that sometimes that's all that matters, right? You look at the MLB this past season. I'm a Braves fan, shockingly. I'm not a Marlins fan. Sorry, Miami Marlins fans. But the Braves were the worst team going into the playoff in terms of record, right? But they got so hot at the end of the year, and they just came into that playoff with all the momentum that they had, and they carried it all the way through and won the whole thing. That matters sometimes in football and basketball and whatever sport. So I see where you're coming with the Bengals. However, I think the Chiefs are the exact same way right now. And when Patrick Mahomes is hot and he's moving, now he had a bad start to his season. For Mahomes standards, right? He's still Pro Bowl level quarterback, even at his bad days. He is now playing at MVP level again. And I think he's going to against the Bengals. And I know you think that the Bengals defense is underrated. I think they're fine. They're middle of the pack defense at best, in my opinion. I just don't think they're experienced enough throughout the board on their defense to stop such a veteran experienced unit like the Chiefs offense. They got everything down to science. I think the Chiefs will win in bracket. But for both of our playoff AFC brackets, we both hate the Titans, Ashton. I think we both think them as kind of I wouldn't say frauds, but not deserving of that number one seed in the AFC. That's just kind of how the cards played out. But
Well, I
kudos
mean,
to them. They somehow got the 1 seed with an injured Derrick Henry.
well, I mean, you have to also remember they are in the weakest division in football. I mean, it's between them and NFC East, and I would say the Jaguars, and it's just like so bad. The Jaguar and Texans are worse than the Giants and Washington. That's what it comes down to for me. And to me, like, you just go in, you get four relatively you just like lay me up baskets games there, and it makes winning the number one seed with what they got 11 wins pretty easily. Uh, Not easy, but like compared to the rest of the AFC just chewing each other up. Yeah, Andy. You, I just don't think they're that good of a number one seed.
Let's move on to a very top-heavy division, the Rams conference. That is the NFC, Ashton, as we got some crazy matchups in the wild card weekend. Let's start with your favorite team to lose against, the Niners on the road at Big D Dallas. Dim boys, Cowboys. Who you got?
Dallas.
I
Pains
know
me to
that pains
say
you.
it. It pains
That's a
me to say it.
lose-lose for you, right?
Well, no, I really think the 49ers, they're a good team. They are, but they have played some like awful games against some bad teams. They played their two best games against the Rams and then one really good game against the Bengals, which I'll give them credit for. But outside of that, they haven't had any impressive wins, and they're just always good against us. And going against the Cowboys, and you know me, Andy, I don't have a lot of respect for this Cowboys team. I just feel like they get a very close win on this 49ers team, who is very scrappy and is coached relatively well.
Now, Ashton, I don't know if it's the number 6 or just the 6th seed in general this playoff, but I'm going with San Fran to win this game. I love Dallas's offense this year. And as much as I love their defense, it isn't as good as people think it is. They get a lot of turnovers, but they also get gashed a lot in the passing game. Now, I definitely don't trust Mike McCarthy as their coach, who could barely make it to a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback and ton of talent on that Packers team. You look at the Niners coming up hot after a win at LA, when they had a lot of fans in the building too, Ashton. I mean, I know you weren't at the game, but there were a lot of San Fran fans in those stands. So they're a passionate bunch. I'm not a huge fan of Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think anyone's a huge fan of Jimmy Garoppolo, but that San Fran team is scrappy, man. They find ways to win. Is it Debo Samuel making him quarterback in this game that's going to win? I don't know. Is it him as a new running back? Juwan Jennings somehow is becoming a really good receiver. You got Nick Bosa. You got Kittle. I don't know. I don't know if it's just me and feeling in my gut, because on paper, Dallas should beat them, right? On paper, Dallas is clearly better. But something in my gut is saying this San Fran team is scrappy, man. They're gonna get
That
this upset.
that would be a very Dallas thing to lose to this 49ers team.
Exactly. That too. They lose games they shouldn't. And San Fran's that team to beat teams they shouldn't when they have Mike McCarthy as their head coach.
Yeah.
So next matchup, Ashton, the one you've been waiting for. Rams, Cardinals rematch. Third time's the charm. Can the Rams do it, Ashton?
Yeah, I think they do. I feel like losing DeAndre Hopkins has really hurt the Cardinals' offense. And the Cardinals come into this game losing, what, 4 or 5? Only beating Dallas, which again, I mean, it was an impressive win, but then again, Dallas hasn't beaten anyone impressive themselves. So it's like one of those things where how good are either of these teams truly? And I just expect the Rams to be able to pull away late. The Rams come into this relatively hot outside of a disappointing OT loss to the 49ers, who, be granted, have had their number, and they took them to overtime. And the Rams had few chances to win that game, and they just couldn't execute. I feel like this is a Rams team that has gotten hot at the right time, relatively, and I at least think coming into this wild card game, that loss won't affect them that much. Cardinals come into this game on a worse loss, in my opinion, to a very, very like the Seahawks weren't playing for anything, and the Cardinals had a chance to win division by getting a win, and they didn't. So I definitely think the Rams are a better team, and they should have the better result.
I know it's tough to say that, Ashton. You can say they're not playing for anything. You can say the same thing with the Dolphins and Patriots game, Ashton. I mean, the Dolphins just basically creamed New England all game. And the Patriots could have won the division, but they didn't. So I wouldn't say it's something as simple as they didn't play for nothing. I think the NFL, you play for money. You play for pride. There's always something to play for, even when games don't matter, like the last week for a bunch of teams. But I agree, the Rams are just going to win this game. Cardinals have been getting injuries and have been playing really bad down the stretch, and that's a recipe for disaster. On top of the Rams being really good in the wild card, usually outside of some flukes here and there. I think Stafford finally gets his first playoff win, but if he does not, a lot of problems and controversies will surround this offseason for the Rams fans. So for everything that's good in LA and Inglewood, they better win this game, Ashton.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on. Last wild card. This one's going to be pretty easy, I think, to predict. Bucks and Eagles play each other, Ashton. I'm guessing you're saying Bucks.
No.
You're going to go Eagles, really?
Yeah.
Ashton, come on. Eagles?
I really think you laugh. I just have a gut feeling.
It's a difference between a gut feeling about the Niners beating the Cowboys. It's a different one about the Eagles squeaking in and beating Tampa Tom.
I have a bad feeling about this Bucks team coming into the playoffs. Like, they should have lost to the Jets. The Jets. Like,
last week doesn't matter. They're already in the playoff.
Yeah, but they were still fighting for seeding. They had a chance to go for the 2 seed or 1 seed.
I get that, Ashton. I get that. Listen, if we break down all the teams, the playoff teams that lost in the last week, you got the Packers who lost, the Bucks lost, the Cardinals lost, right? You look at the Bengals lost to the Browns, the Patriots lost to the Dolphins, right? So like, you have a ton of losses because when you make the playoffs in the last week and you're guaranteed in, you kind of don't care as much in that last game.
Well, either way, I just feel like this Eagles team is kind of built perfectly to beat Tom Brady. All they have to do is go down the field, have a nice running game, keep the ball out of Tom Brady's hand, score a few touchdowns, and get a turnover or two, which Tom Brady has done in that Tampa Bay Buccaneers uniform in the playoffs. I believe he had like 2 games with 2 or more interceptions, and I feel like that could cost him in this game against the Eagles. So I have the upset with the Eagles.
Jeez,
I believe that's my only lower seed winning against a higher
and
seed.
you picked the Eagles to beat the reigning Super Bowl champions. That's crazy, but we'll see. So our brackets are completely different now with the way it's going to go. I guess I'll run through mine real quick, and then we'll run through yours. So my first divisional matchup is the 1-seeded Packers and the Niners in Lambeau. I think the Packers this year are just on another level. I think Aaron Rodgers is trying to prove something, and I think the Packers are going to get this win, and I think it's not going to be really close as the Packers go to the NFC Championship game to play the winner for me of the Rams and Buccaneers game. Always fun when this team plays each other. As much as I think it's going to be close, I think the Rams are going to win this game, Ash. And I know it's going to be in Tampa, but I think the Rams want to beat this team badly and make the Super Bowl. I think they're going to win. And I think you're going to have a really interesting matchup between rematch from a few weeks ago, Packers, Rams, Lambeau Field. And as much as I know you're going to hate me for this, I think the Packers are going to beat them. I think the Packers this year, top to bottom, coaching-wise, quarterback-wise, defensively, I think the Packers are the best team in the NFL right now. They're playing hot. I know they lost to the Lions, but to be fair, Rodgers didn't try very much that game. If you watch that game, he wasn't trying that hard to beat the Detroit Lions, and the Lions are playing really hard that game to win a game, period, for their head coach. So for me, I think the Packers are going to win this game and set up a very interesting matchup that every single NFL fan is going to want to see. This Super Bowl is going to be very, very highly watched ratings wise. Chiefs, Mahomes, Rodgers, and the Packers, the State Farm Super Bowl. That's my pick. That's my prediction.
State Farm Super Bowl. Nice. Uh, yeah, Andy. Let's go to my bracket. In my bracket, I have the Rams, Cowboys, and Eagles winning, and that basically has. I know.
So you're
So
facing them boys, huh?
yes, uh,
Them boys.
the boys, Rams at Cowboys, and Eagles at Green Bay.
Rough.
I have Green Bay winning, and then
Yeah, yeah, they are. And that they're creaming him in that matchup.
yeah, and then I have the Cowboys beating the Rams.
What? Really? What? You picked the Cowboys to pick the Rams? What?
Yeah,
What? What? Even I would have gone with the Rams on that one. What's your you hate the Cowboys. What's your reasoning there?
I do hate the Cowboys. I think they're completely.
Wait. Time out here. If I'm
I think
if
they're a
I'm reading
worse
hold on,
team.
if I'm reading your face correctly, you're gonna tell me right now that your Super Bowl matchup is the Cowboys and the Bengals, isn't it?
Let me get there.
No.
Let me get there. Let me get there. Okay.
What a game.
Yeah. Let me get there. I just completely I think it's one of those things where this our roster is good enough to beat any team. It really is. But the inconsistency with the offense, especially in the last 6 weeks, even though we've been on a winning streak for the most part, it just hasn't been good enough to win playoff caliber teams or beat playoff caliber teams. I just don't believe it. I feel like we'll beat the Cardinals and we'll have a solid game, but Stafford going into a higher pressure situation against the Cowboys, especially against the defense that plays very, very aggressive. And I feel like it'll be one of those games where we'll either blow out the Cowboys or we'll get blown out. I just feel like it's one of those things, and I think it's more likely they blow us out, especially with how Stafford has been playing lately. Doesn't mean I don't think the trade was worth it. I think he's been a really good quarterback. I feel like he needs to get more integrated, like more integrated with the system. A lot of those miscommunications have caused interceptions. Him thinking a certain route is going to go a certain way, and it just you mix a lot of that stuff in. I don't see us beating the Cowboys at Jerry World. I hope I'm wrong, but that's the gut feeling I have with that.
Oh yeah, they are the 3 seed. I forgot. They would be the home team. Does it change? It's not going to happen, obviously. But if it was at LA, you think that changes it?
Probably not.
All right. So what's your next matchup is so you said so it's Packers and Cowboys for you, right?
Yeah, it's Packers and Cowboys, and I have the Cowboys beating the Packers. No, I'm kidding. I have Green Bay winning.
Okay. I would have been like, "What's going on with you today?"
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
I think they escape by the Rams, after just blowing us out. No, like Andy, it's gonna be Green Bay. Like, Aaron Rodgers will torch that defense, and they'll be super aggressive, go for picks, and Aaron Rodgers will not throw the same passes Stafford will. Um, and I think that'll be difference in the match. And the reason they beat the Rams, it will be the reason they lose to the Packers.
Okay. So Super Bowl matchups: Chiefs, Packers. For Ashton, you got the Bengals and the Packers. So for me, Ashton, I'll start. It's gonna be a really fun game. It's gonna be a matchup of quarterbacks that we've been wanting to see since Mahomes became Mahomes a few years ago. It's going to be an offensive battle, but I think the Packers defense is on another level than the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense has been putting band-aids on the unit all year. They've gotten better, but I think they're primed to be exposed, and there's no better quarterback to do it than a hungry, a focused, and an MVP most likely Aaron Rodgers. So, as much as it pains me to say it, Packers are going to be your Super Bowl champion of the 2021-22 season.
Yeah, equally as in mine, I think this will be a really good Super Bowl against the Bengals and Packers. I think it'll be shootout. But ultimately, I think the Packers pull it off after uh, Burrow gives it a fighting chance. I think they go to OT and the Packers get the ball, the start in OT, and Aaron Rodgers does what Aaron Rodgers does and goes down, gets a touchdown to win it, and he gets a second ring.
Man, I would hate if a Super Bowl ended in overtime, and the way it ends is a team scoring a touchdown in the opening drive. I hate overtime rules in the NFL. Being a college guy primarily at times, but that's a topic for another day, Ashton. But for the first time ever on this channel, me and Ashton agree on something, and that is the Packers are going to be Super Bowl champions. I think a lot of people think that, and who knows? The playoffs are always very fickle, and you never really know who's going to make it to the big game.
If let's remind our audience of my record of predicting Super Bowl winners. I am now 14-1.
Sorry, 1-14. You said that wrong. He sucks.
Yes,
He's not good.
yeah. 1-14. I have the opposite problem. I am very bad at predicting the winner. At least when it comes to like on the day, I'm bad at picking the playoff bracket in general. But we'll see, Andy. It's been a wild season, the most unpredictable in a while. So I think Green Bay has been fighting for this for a while. It would be hard for me to imagine them not getting to the NFC Championship. It would be very shocking. I feel like the only team that could possibly knock them off would probably be the Cowboys or the Rams. If they get them one of those two in the second round.
Yeah, but we'll definitely see. We're very excited for the playoffs this Saturday, guys. You better go watch some football. We are definitely going to be watching some football. Thank you again for watching our channel. If you like our content, if you like the Dolphins, if you like the Rams, if you like general NFL content across the board, hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, comment who you think's going to win the matchups. Who's your Super Bowl? Is Aaron Rodgers going to retire this year? We want to hear everything you got to say in the comments down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because later on, after all this, we have a ton of off-season content coming on, especially when it comes to Dolphins coaching searches and who we think the team should go after, both Rams and Dolphins. Thank you guys for watching. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you guys in the next video.